Episode Part 3, G-Team Rescuing Katherine in London, England, from Interpol, the FBI, and the Devil's Cult of Baal. Katie had been shot dead by 2 policemen at the same time that Silver was out helping Amanda against Demon Greywell. Katie unexpectedly opened her eyes. Katie was alive. And as the officers approached, she shot them both herself. The officers flailed about on the floor as their lives drained out of them. All because of their violence against Katie without warning. Katie called for backup on her comms watch and immediately heard back from Tiny. "Glad, you, okay, others, in missions need a helper?" Katie responded to Tiny, "No, I'm okay, I guess. I was shot by 2 cops. They're dead now. I shot them. And wow, I can't believe everyone is too busy to come and rescue me. And yet we're here to rescue Katherine. We say we don't leave people behind. But I guess you can leave me behind, huh?" Katie decried, "I hope everyone is listening to this. I am going to finish the mission alone, without help. They shot me. They tried to kill me. If Taylor hadn't made me wear that bulletproof shirt, I would be dead. I'm gonna place those explosives for the mission because I don't leave people behind." I answered Katie's lament and plea for help. "I'm sorry, Katie. A major traffic accident happened on our way, so we're late on our end. We're not close enough to help. I can only guess the others are unable to communicate right now. I'm sorry, Katie," I reiterated uselessly. Katie just said, deflated, "Ooh-ah, heard, understood, acknowledged." Learning that no help was coming, Katie left the hallway of carnage, and she blended into the oblivious crowds, to the dead officers and her placed explosives. Katie needed now just to escape. She ran to a station exit to go around to the opposite side of the river that was adjacent to the London Eye Ferris wheel. Katie paused and reflected and accepted that she was ultimately on her own, that in many respects, she was truly alone, despite being on a team. Katie noticed a row of red-marked crows that were seemingly watching her in curiosity, if not suspicion. Well, ignoring them, Katie entered the river wearing her burqa, where she immediately began placing explosives along the river wall. Katie dove into the water and she swam to more river wall spots to place more CL-20 explosives. Katie swam to the Waterloo train station, where she placed more explosives along its river wall. Katie swam covertly and dove underwater to swim to get just below the London Eye Ferris wheel, where she attached even more bombs. Katie placed explosives right below the London Eye, on the river wall that supported the Ferris wheel. Katie placed all of her remaining explosives that she had in her backpack. Having finished planting her explosives, Katie swam to the opposite shore and she caught a bus to get away quickly, and then she called caretaker Mama Cat to come pick her up. Soon afterwards, Katie was safe in Mama Cat's taxicab. Katie used her comms watch and she spoke, "Okay, the gifts have all been delivered." And with that, Katie was done. Sarah and Taylor arrived near the Interpol holding center, where Katherine was being held. The holding center was effectively a glorified police station. Sarah walked to a nearby building wall where she removed her burqa, and she swiftly and easily parkour climbed up the wall to its rooftop, where she moved into a sniper position. Sarah aimed and adjusted her rifle scope, ensuring that she had full view of the police station. She likewise made sure that she had vantage to target nearby streets and be able to target buildings, their entrances, and windows. Sarah, now in sniper position on a nearby rooftop, just waited for the action to start. More strange crow stuff, as another crow on a nearby ledge seemed to be watching Sarah. The crow, like Sarah, was likewise waiting for the action to start. Sarah acknowledged the crow by pointing at it. Alright, let's talk about Taylor. Taylor's job to get into position was a lot easier. She just had to go and wait nearby to join the fight once it started. Bob and I had finally reached the Interpol holding center where Katherine was a prisoner. Bob was actually both anxious and excited to go full Terminator once we were inside. Bob pointed to a second side entrance to the police station. He spoke, "Hey, I'm gonna go in through the corner entrance. You can go in the main street entrance, okay?" I just nodded and we hung around the area, trying not to look too conspicuous. Well, the big moment was here. Silver, Katie, and Amanda all confirmed that their explosives were in place and detonators were armed. And unfortunately, Big Ben had already prematurely blown up. I noticed above on a rooftop was yet another crow. As I pulled out my Knights Templar smartphone, the crow began cawing as if it somehow knew of the impending doom. Well, I hit send on the smartphone detonator app, and explosions began blasting all over London. The molecularly concentrated CL-20 explosives proved to be extraordinarily powerful. Silver understated CL-20's explosive power, in fact. The Big Ben clock tower had already been destroyed. Manhole covers on London's streets exploded, blasting people and cars alike, and sending others running in terror, fearing for their lives. Many explosions blasted within the Waterloo train station, which spread quickly with flames everywhere. Ultimately, everything was an inferno. Explosions continued to blast the London tube tunnels. They exploded. Some blasts narrowly destroyed entire trains. Tube blasts came from many levels within the tunnels, where Amanda had generously placed explosives and bombs. The explosive force of the CL-20 bombs had to go somewhere, and trapped within the tunnels, the infernal blast became fireballs and infernal streams of fiery death and destruction shooting through the tunnels. People fled, but they had so few options in the underground. While most people escaped, there were many that did not. They died horrific, incendiary deaths. It was every person for themselves in the chaos and the madness of fiery annihilation. It seemed hopeless, if not impossible, for many people to escape their tragic, fiery fate. Surface streets and tracks erupted in explosions. The skyline was turning red with fire and embers. Something happened that we did not expect, however. The entire Waterloo train station exploded. The building, river wall, everything just blew up. Something very explosive must have been triggered by Katie's smaller bombs. The river wall explosion spread from the train station to the London Eye Ferris wheel. People were caught in the infernal blasts, and the London Eye tilted and it fell into the river. The devastation was surreal and incredible. Well, it was evident that every police officer and every emergency responder would most certainly be very busy handling the chaos from all the destruction and explosions. It was time. Block drawn, Bob entered the holding center. And without pause, the greeting officer immediately surrendered. And outside, a crow attacked Taylor, strangely making eye contact with her, but she swiftly killed it with her knife. Taylor dashed to the door through a side entrance, and I entered through the main entrance and joined the threat with my Glock pistol, squarely aimed at the police officers inside. Suddenly, a huge, wild-haired, red-bearded man entered the room. He walked straight to me. The man appeared to be the station captain. The station commander spoke with a seething hate. "Hello, Rick, Searborn. It's been a while. It's me, your old friend, Brocco. Don't you remember me? I'm the friend that you shot in the head without remorse. Do you remember that? I do. And I'm the friend that you burned alive in that New York home. Do you remember that? I do. And I'm the friend that runs the Devil's Cult of Baal in the UK. And yes, I'm the friend that is a demon right here on mortal Earth. And I am the friend that is one powerful archdemon. So, do you remember me now, Searborn? He asked with a grin. Head cultist and demon Brocco advised, look around and think. A cultist in police clothing is still a cultist. And not every crow or rat is a simple beast. Brocco snarled and he said, "It's time to die, Searborn." Brocco belted out a little cliche, "Kill them! Kill them all!" Brocco fell back and began firing an assault rifle at us. Taylor heard the gunfire and she entered the building. An officer charged Taylor, but Taylor deftly shot him dead. A second officer entering the room was also shot dead by Taylor. A third officer came at Taylor, who was also shot dead by Taylor. Taylor dashed to a hallway door and shot more assailants. Taylor shot even more attackers in yet another hallway. In the meantime, while Taylor was clearing the hallways, Bob was busy himself shooting fake cops. Bob left several officers wounded on the floor, and Bob left some officers dead on contact. With the shooting calming finally, I patrolled the area. Suddenly, police officers came at me from many directions at once. I had to defend myself, and I shot them one after another. Finally, the officer cultists had enough and they fled. Bob moved to a side vantage point to flank Brocco, and he aimed his Glock at Brocco. Taylor fired from behind a desk in the main room. She rapid-fired into Brocco as well, filling him with bullets. Bob grabbed a fallen officer's automatic shotgun, and he let loose, firing shotgun rounds after another into Brocco. I aimed my Glock at Brocco's head, and I fired at near point-blank range. Brocco was returning fire, but our assault was far greater and too much. Brocco fell backward from being shot so many times. Brocco was slaughtered with so much firepower, killing him. The air turned hot, and Brocco's eyes, they turned red. Blazing hot plumes of fire erupted everywhere as Brocco rose from the dead in demon form. Bob fired more shotgun shells into Demon Brocco. Despite falling back due to the fire, Bob just kept shooting. He hoped enough shots might stop the demon. Taylor focus fired a precise shot into Brocco's eye socket, and then she fired more rounds. I fired shot after shot into Brocco. I fired round after round into the demon. There seemed to be no limit to the abuse that Brocco McDema could take and endure. Despair turned to rage as I charged Brocco. I was admittedly starting to crazy panic fire into him. I was nearly in Brocco's face when he fell and died again. And once more, Brocco rose up from the dead. The hellfire plumes, they seemed to heal Brocco as they burned him. Brocco conjured and threw a fireball at us, and then he fled outside. While the assault was going on, Sarah had been sniping fake police in the street and at the entrance, one after another. They never saw it coming. They just dropped dead, lights off, without any warning at all. Seeing Brocco flee outside, Sarah immediately sniped him as well. Brocco shook off Sarah's bullets at first, as if his hellfire somehow protected him from Sarah's high-caliber Barrett sniper rifle. Sarah's shots from above finally sent Brocco to the ground, killing him again. Brocco fell and slumped, dead. However, Brocco rose again, backflipping into the station. Brocco defensively backpedaled into the police station further. Brocco was seemingly powering up as if he was somehow charging himself with some kind of super hellborn power to unleash onto us. Brocco charged at me to end me once and for all. Bob grabbed an officer's assault rifle and he fired it over and over into Brocco McDema. And Bob loaded more magazines of bullets and he just kept firing to stop Brocco's attack. It seemed undeniable. Archdemon Brocco McDema could not be killed with our weapons. Desperately, I drew the celestial flaming dagger of choice and destiny, and I slashed the fiery dagger at Brocco, keeping him back at bay. But Brocco retaliated, and he began summoning fists of hellfire. I thrust the flaming dagger into Brocco's chest. Brocco fell back as the dagger sunk into him. Brocco was dead, this time permanently. Taylor, Bob, and I all went to find Katherine in the holding cells, in the back of the station. Katherine could not believe her eyes. There stood her husband, me. Somehow, I had come to London and rescued her from the unjust, life-ruining false charges by the FBI and Interpol. Katherine was rescued, and our mission was successful, albeit with a lot more destruction than we had planned. Katherine was finally free and had escaped her confinement. We called the caretakers to come and pick us up. Amanda was already riding with caretaker Baby Cat. Katie was already riding with caretaker Mama Cat. Caretaker Alley Cat picked up Silver on our drive out of London, leaving his hunter, Demon Aaron Graywell, behind. Soon, with no further resistance, we were on our way on the long drive back to our RV cargo plane, hidden in the Midlands. And thankfully, we had no problems at all on our return drive. Well, we were happy to be back in the air, albeit flying over trees and then airplane surfing over the ocean and its waves, all to avoid detection or interception. Once we achieved cruising altitude, Tiny activated the plane's Faraday stealth jamming systems. We were finally on our way to Prague. With course set, immediately, without any pause, an organic debriefing began. Or more accurately, it erupted. Katherine, in a sad, conflicted smile, spoke. "I'm so happy to be rescued, but I'm so sad at the cost." Katherine's eyes welled up in tears and sorrow. "How can my being free be worth so much consequential death and destruction, resulting just because you saved me?" Katherine continued, "I mean, maybe you should have just let me be prosecuted and jailed, so all those innocent people would not have been hurt or killed." Katherine concluded, "It's too late now for the greater good, so let's make my freedom worthwhile. I will be useful on the G team, even if I am labeled a terrorist and fugitive." Amanda jumped in with her insight. "Look, it's hard knowing that we're doing the right things, but I know that saving you was the right thing to do. So anything that happened doing the right thing, I say was therefore also the right thing to do." Sarah introduced herself to Katherine. "Hi, Katherine. I am pleased to meet you. I am Sarah Seraphim. Forgive me for saying this, but you should know I am a trained infiltrator and assassin, but only for righteous purposes, of course. Sarah looked almost smug in the moment, and she spoke. I shared a while back Romans 8:18 with the team. It says, "For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us." Sarah explained, trials and hardships we face will not last forever. God is turning our suffering, our pain, and our struggles into purpose and meaning, that we might motivate ourselves and inspire others to fight against evil and defend the light of God. Bob looked dismayed, and he spoke. I think Silver way understated the true power of his special, uber-powerful, molecularly concentrated CL-20 bombs. Bob added, first, Big Ben, the clock tower, was blown to oblivion. The entire Waterloo station was utterly destroyed, and the London Eye Ferris wheel was essentially incinerated. People in the tube, they were trapped in tunnels of fire, and the streets of London exploded, killing even more people. And the Riverwalk's level of destruction, all those blasts, it was beyond anything anyone could have imagined. Bob closed with a grim shrug. Are we really the good guys here? And then Bob glanced at Crime Lord Silver, and he said further, this whole plan was your plan, Silver, and using those CL-20 explosives was your idea. You were the architect of the plan, and you were the architect of this mess, Bob declared judgmentally. Silver defiantly looked at Bob, and he said wryly, You must not have been paying attention. I told everyone that concentrated CL-20 was the most powerful explosive next to a nuke. So please, don't even suggest that I did not explain their power. Katie mournfully spoke up. Maybe we are the bad guys. But who cares? If we are the bad guys, they shot me. And then they deliberately shot me again, just to make sure that I was really dead. Some of the people that died, they were evil, and they deserved to die, Katie said with a vengeful tone. Katie, clearly conflicted emotionally, continued. Things are different when you face death yourself. Like, I have no doubt or reservation in the slightest that those corrupt cops, they earned their place in hell, and I wanted them dead and gone. Katie declared, when someone targets you for death, your eyes are opened, and you see things differently. I see now that evil must be stopped before it can inflict harm on others, or us. Sarah looked resolute, and she spoke. God is forging all of us to be strong and sharp. God is preparing us for the epic battle to come. God is honing us with His holy light, readying us for our journey into hell. Taylor looked sympathetic and explained, Life and death is never easy. It must be left on the battlefield to protect your sanity and life. Soldiers do not have the luxury of turpitude or lamentation, else people will die. Taylor reminded, again, we are soldiers for God and for heaven, and we are on a mission for God. Taylor announced, we were justified despite the collateral damage. It is the fate of the warrior to bring home horror after the fight and into our dreams as nightmares. And after the fight is over, we then must deal and cope with the consequences and survive. Teary-eyed, Katie's fury subsided, and she continued, I feel so bad for all the innocent people that were hurt or killed, and for their friends and families. I feel so bad for the destruction. But nothing was intended to be that deadly or that destructive. I'm sure, no, I know that we are all very sorry for everything. And we seek God's forgiveness for our missteps, mistakes, and sins, whether they were intentional or not. Taylor looked perturbed and she spoke. Seriously, how many times must we go over this? We are soldiers for God. When on mission, casualties and consequences are merely events in execution. They are the past, and they must only inform our future plans. In other words, it's done. It's over. It's in the past. So don't fret about it. Move on, she commanded, frustrated by civilian weakness. Katie cried out, You left me for dead, or to die. I was shot and no one cared. All I got was we're stuck in traffic, so too bad. You're on your own. Sorry, good luck. I interjected. Katie, we had little choice. We had no options. We really were too far away to get there to help. And Silver and Amanda, well, it turns out they were fighting a demon. We really didn't have any options. I'm sorry, Katie, I said from my heart. Katie just whimpered, I know. We're ultimately, though, all on our own. Katie ended quietly, just saying, ooh-ah. Amanda jumped in and asserted, Hey, Katie, Silver did the right thing by coming to help me fight that cowboy demon Graywell. I and everyone else could have been killed by him otherwise. I answered Amanda, Look, we faced intense opposition, despite our wearing burqas as disguises. I explained to everyone, we encountered Brocco McDema as a fake police captain, whom in reality was Demon Brocco, the head of the Cult of Bale. I continued, Brocco told me that the police were fake, too, that the police were actually cultists wearing police uniforms. I added, Brocco essentially also said that the rats and the crows were his demonic spy network across London. So he always knew where we were, and he always knew what we were doing. I furthered, we had no chance of blocking the rats or crows from detecting or from tracking us. There were just too many of them. They were everywhere, being high on rooftops and low in gutters and in alleys. Silver jumped in and said darkly, Our plan did not anticipate demonic forces or powers being used against us. The rats and the crows, their senses of smell and sight are far superior to CCTV surveillance cameras. Silver looked at Bob and he retorted, So, that is why my plan had some difficulties. But in the end, we succeeded anyway with my plan in our mission. So I say the plan was a success. I looked to Amanda and said, Amanda is right. They were wrong to falsely charge and threaten Katherine. So we had to rescue her, like we all agreed. And remember, they sought to kill us, and they were cultists in police uniforms who worship and serve the devil. And they got what they had coming. It is tragic and maybe soul-wrenching, but rescuing Katherine was the right thing to do. I continued, we killed Demon Brocco. That's right, despite Brocco dying and his coming back to life repeatedly, Brocco seemed to be unstoppable, but I managed to drive the celestial flaming dagger with its holy fire into his chest. And well, it seems to have killed him permanently. I grimly added, unfortunately, Demon Aaron Graywell, whom also kept dying and refusing to stay dead, kept rising back to life. Unfortunately, well, we weren't able to kill him. Demon Graywell, he's still out there. He's still hunting us, aided by the eyes and ears of hell-serving, malevolent rats and crows. Well, despite the immense turpitude and consternation, we held together as a team. In the end, nothing really changed through the discussion, but our emotional wounds had been lanced, so that we could carry on and resume our mission to Prague.